Yo, yo, yo. Hello, hello. Thank you for the contribution, Corn. I appreciate it. Where are we with that? 13% raise. That's pretty good. I'm just doing quick setup. I gotta do the whole Twitter thing, like usual. But yeah, today we're doing art. I haven't done an art stream in quite a bit of time. I gotta tweet out. Yo, yo, yo! Ooh. Yes, you're gonna lurk. I know that. Go do the errands you have to do. I lost OBS. Okay. Yo, yo, yo! We live with some art. I'ma do some emote art and a very special present for someone. Link down below. Okay. I made a new thumbnail for this one. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. It's good. Emote. Okay, now I gotta make sure I actually put the Twitch link. YouTuber art. Okie dokie. Alright, let's get on it. Aight. So right now I'm working on the flat colors for and the outlines for these emotes. And then I'm gonna do shading on all of them. And once I get the reference picture I need from a certain someone, we're gonna be drawing a birthday present. So that's the plan for today. We're gonna have a chill time. So I've already done 3 of these. So the emote raffle had 5 emotes, but I wanted to experiment with an animated emote, and I can't speak French. This lovely VTuber, I can put her link, hold on, in here. Yeah, her link is in there. She said it was okay for me to experiment with animated emote. Fine with that. Hi, my guys. Hello. You know, I'm thinking I might have to put a white border around that, all of my sub badges. I think they'd look better that way. But yeah, oh, we also have new sub badges. That was the other kind of big announcement. Okay, I think I made the outside 3. That looks about right. So I've tried doing line art with vector layers, but I hate it. I can't particularly name why I hate it. Also, yo, I'm excited to be here. Let's go. I've been waiting to see you. Oh, cool. Welcome to the Pyro Pack. I saw you followed, but I wasn't streaming at that point. Otaku. Out of all of the usernames you could have picked. Also, I want to just remind chat, and I'll remind it if it happens. In the past, I've been okay with backseating, but I have decided that with these art streams, I do not want any backseating. Just because, like, I'm okay with constructive criticism typically, but I'm like a visual learner, so when people are like, do this in your art, I'm like, like, it doesn't compute. It's not helpful. How are you, by the way, after the vaccine and stuff? Oh, okay, so I was like kind of miserable yesterday, but by the end of yesterday, it was like all Gucci. Like, I feel a little dizzy if I stand up for too long, but other than that, I'm fine. How do you backseat art? You know, you'd be surprised. Good evening, Toby. How are you doing today? Yes. Yeah. And again, like, I'm not against constructive criticism. I have a little bit of a pride complex, but I'm not like against it. It's just like there is a time, like every Pokemon professor says, there's a time and place for everything. And my art streams are not the time and place for backseating. The more you know, yeah. That thing with like the little star, the more you know. We're gonna fix up this line art. It looks kinda icky right now. I like cleaning it up. I still don't really know how to make like smooth lines. So we're gonna clean it up with an eraser. What I do for all of them. It's gonna be fine. Yeah, I think I need better brushes, but I just haven't gotten around to looking. Draw lines like this. You're shading that wrong. You should use these colors instead of those, and so on. Oh, I am addicted to Minesweeper, as well as Encanto. I know. I have that effect on people. Just wait till you start watching Fruits Basket. I think every artist has a pride complex when it comes to territory thing. No. I mean, like, I have, like, I'm one of those people that if you dare me, like, I'm that kind of person. I can't say no to a challenge. You know, it's funny. I don't, despite the fact that I now have commissions open and people have paid me for commissions, I still don't really see myself as an artist. Still, I'm like, I am programmer. I don't do art. I program. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Yeah, well, you know, define good. I mean, I did say it would make you cry every episode. I don't know if that's necessarily good. I don't think a normal person would consider that good. But then again, we have similar tastes when it comes to media, so. You know, I think in the wise words of Elfie, the great thing about emotes being so tiny is that you can mess up and have wiggly lines, and from a distance, no one's gonna know. So it's fine. 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 Absolutely the same. I'm simply unable to Yeah, no, I feel that. That's so hard. Is Fruit Basket worth the watch? I've never seen it. The original is interesting, but the remake from 2019 is so good. Ugh. If you like crying every episode, that is. I will say some like trigger warnings. There is child abuse in it. And there's cartoon violence and not so cartoony violence. And you wouldn't think that for a shoujo, like a famous shoujo anime, but alas, here we are. Like 3 isn't thick enough emote lines. Want a little 3? Thank you for contribution to the Spanish music stream. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's. Mike Rice, thank you for the contribution. There go all your jorts. Ha! No feathers for you today. Ha 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 ha. Okay, wait. We're gonna try to do it right this time. Okay. Milsh! Is that it? I tried to do it because before I was saying like milk. It's more like milsh. Right? Didn't we talk about that? What, 2 days ago? I don't know what time is. I want to do the sparkles now. Let's do sparkless. There we go. I'll give it a go. I love shoujo anime and manga, and first started doing manga with shoujo and the girls in my anime club. Shoujo is so good though. The whole way to go. I'm getting better though. Please tell me I'm getting better. Yeah. I have this like trick for the sparkles. Because I know a lot of people use like a stamp for them. But I find the default sparkle stamp is too small. Even the highest thing. So what I do is I draw them like this, right? And the edges aren't perfect. And I take the blur tool. And I go. And it gives it a little bit of that glow. Without like actually needing a... Nice. I like doing that. Yeah, we talked about after movie night. Yeah, so 2 days ago. I'm still disappointed in that movie. That movie was so good. And then the ending just sucked. Tips and tricks. Someone has not discovered the wonders of downloading assets yet, huh? I know it. I know it. I just like, I don't know. I don't feel like searching for things. Like it's not that I don't have the time. It's that I don't have the mental. Like I don't want to experiment. I'm not in an experimentation kind of mood. Like I know how great they are, but alas, I don't feel like it. I think I suppressed that memory. Now I'm disappointed again. Sorry. How annoying it was. Yeah, I know. We just okay, for people who weren't at movie night, we watched Earwig and the Witch. And it's a terrible movie if you look at it as a children's movie, but God was it entertaining. It was like fun to watch. Terrible moral, but absolutely hilarious. And the ending just sucked. Like the entire movie was great, and the ending was just god awful. And it's like, oh come on. We like, come on. Almost wish that was me. I would just get good at using things instead of experimenting with brushes every. Yeah, that is the 3D Ghibli movie. Because we were doing a Ghibli for the basically all of 2021 in my Discord server when I was like, when I had a computer, because there was like a month that I didn't. Every Saturday, it used to be Fridays, but Friday or Saturday we'd watch a Ghibli movie, and we finally got through all of them except Grave of the Fireflies, which I refuse to watch again. So. Yeah, I want it to be longer. There was so much they could have done. Like, they could have made it, like, Nausicaa long. Because Nausicaa's, like, I don't know, 2.5 hours, I think. But no, they made it, like, an hour and 45 minutes. Gross. You know, I actually want one here. So many sparkles. All of the sparkles. Nausicaa is good. Yeah, I do. There you go. I love Nausicaa. It's probably my it's probably my third favorite Ghibli. And now that I've seen all of them, well, it's actually not Ghibli, it's just Miyazaki, but a lot of the people who worked on Nausicaa went to find, like, they found founding members. Big Bugs. Oh, yes. Oh, I just realized. Huh. Did Cheris watch that movie with us? Because I feel like he wouldn't have liked it. I'll pull you aside. Yeah, Tolvi, I've told you this before, and now that Elfie's here too, you two would get along famously. I think you two should be friends. Whisper of the Heart's my favorite though. It's okay, well, so like it was my favorite. And then we watched Up on Poppy Hill, and like they might be tied. I don't know. I love Whisper of the Heart. I've watched it many a time. But I don't know. From Up on Poppy Hill is good too. I really like that one. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this layer. Just don't see it for now. It'll come back later. My favorite's Ponyo by far. Second best is Spirited Away. Ugh, I grew up on Spirited Away. Pyro Dad introduced me to Zaki at a very young age. The first one was My Neighbor Totoro, because, you know, that one's very child friendly. And then the second was Spirited Away, which did give me nightmares. As a wee bab dinosaur, but I got over it. It's such a pretty movie. I would say, honestly, Tales of Earthsea and Ponyo are my least favorite. I did not enjoy watching either of them. Although Ponyo is very much for a young audience, I think, is why I didn't. Because I enjoyed it when it came out, but I'm not the biggest fan right now. Not my cup of tea. By later, I mean now. Yeah, bugs and creepy crawlies for life. Yes. Both of you very much love them. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. Let me make this look. That's from Earth 2 was also Goro's making, right? Yes, it was, in fact. That was his too, and Hayao, Senior Miyazaki, was not happy with it. He thought it sucked as I mean, I wouldn't say it sucked. I felt like the story was just like weird. The dub probably didn't make it better, I'll admit, but I did like Princess Mononoke though. Once you got past the gore at the beginning. Ah, yeah. We watched it. We watched it in the server. I felt like it gave the similar vibes as Nausicaa and Howl's Moving Castle, but I'd just rather watch those movies, if that makes sense. Also, my model's been freaking out today. I don't really particularly know why, so if I'm glitchy, I am very sorry. Well, that actually doesn't look bad. Anyone know what time Max gets home from work? He's supposed to DM me something. Mononoke is my favorite, isn't it? Even as a kid, yeah. Yeah, he didn't want to make him to film at all. He even walked. Yep. Okay. Ah, this doesn't look. Oh, wait. This. Corrected. This side needs a little bit of work. I'm on the right layer. There you go. Let's see. Okay. Stare. I wanna. First, eyelashes. Okay. I've been like adding a lot more layers on these commissions than I do my normal emotes. I want it to look good. There's a short interview Miyazaki did for the release of Tales of Earthsea. He was not happy. Yeah, I can imagine. Hold on. I'll open some. Okay. Excited for the new one that Hayami is making. Yeah, yeah, me too. Have you guys seen Marnie and the not Marnie, Mary and the Witch's Flower? I think it's called. I saw that one, and it's made by people who worked for Ghibli, but it's not associated with Ghibli at all. If I remember correctly. So I saw that one, and like it was pretty good. I remember enjoying it, but I feel like it was a lot more shallow in writing, which is not bad. I mean, it's for a younger audience, but it didn't carry like enough complex themes, I think. compared to most Ghibli works. Again, Totoro. Well, I guess Ponyo being the real exception, because Totoro carries pretty heavy stuff. Okay. Lily Koi Goddess is drunk. No. No, that's not mine. It's a reference picture. You can tell because my drawing is significantly worse in quality. Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah, it was weak in story depth. But it's pretty, I mean, it's like not bad. Just not what I wanted, you know? Okay, ice sparkles. There you go. Alright, what are we gonna do next? I also decided that I'm not gonna do the eyebrows. I didn't like them when I did it on the other ones. Oh, it's not on Netflix for you? Interesting. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Again, great concept, but not. And gonna draw the same line over and over again until I like it. There we go. I like that one. To do some like adjustments. Looks a lot like earwig too from what pictures. I think it came out first though. I think Mary and the Witch's Flower came out first. It's the character is very different than Earwig. She's like a goody goody, essentially. You know, like a normal. I'm gonna say a normal Ghibli protagonist, but like she is definitively good. The mouth one. Yeah, and again, the one on the picture I have right now on the left, it's not complete yet. These are just flat colors, so I wanted to get all of the flat colors on all the emotes done before I did the shading and stuff. The shading's gonna be a little experimentation. She's not manipulative, she's like a good character. Did you finish Arcane? No, I didn't. I don't know how many episodes there are, but no, I haven't yet. I assume. I did binge quite a bit of it yesterday, though. Face. Okay. I typically do the clothing, or not the clothing. I typically do the hair, but I'm gonna do the clothing now. Ha 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 ha. Do the clothing and the accessories usually. Oh, Arcane is so good. Oh my god. It's so good. I love it. It was great just being in the Discord for that, yeah. Literally, I know nothing about League of Legends. It has, well, apparently the characters are from League. You don't need to know anything. Like, the only thing I knew was that Jinx's eyes were pink. And they are not pink at the beginning of Arcane, and that brings up a lot of questions. But but other, like, you don't need to know anything about it to enjoy the show. That is an eraser. That is not, in fact, what we want. Dun, da, da, dun, da, da. I will finish the clothing and accessories in a bit, but I do need to do one thing. I like doing this on a different layer. This is a texture I've been using for her emotes. I just think it. There we go. That looks pretty. Okay. If I do say so myself. It's pretty. We're gonna call it cross. Is it snowy and cold where you are, Pyro? It's heckin' cold where I am. I guess it's cold. I don't think it's. But also, I don't want to give away my location, so haha. That's all you're gonna get. Okay, we're going back to this one. It is accessory time. I always forget what line thickness I use for these. 5? Yes, it is. 0.5. Noosh! Is that good? I think I'm getting better. I don't know. Yeah, no, I have a blanket too. But I like being wrapped up in. That looks thicker though. I don't know. Thicker than what I did. That's because I'm not using 0.5. That would do it. Oh, I know what I used. I used 0.8. I remember now. There we go. Perfect. Okay. I can just do that and erase it. Actually actually something. Accessories and clothing. We're gonna erase. Yeah, now I just want to watch more Arcane, god damn it. No, I'm streaming right now. I literally can't. I literally cannot watch more Arcane. I am busy. Oh, that's not what I want. I like this music. Also, fun fact, when I drew the line art, the line art draft for emotes, I don't know if you can tell, but I missed some clips in her design. And she didn't correct me on it when I asked for approval. I was just like, you know, I should probably just fix this. It's called multitasking. If I had 3 monitors, I would in fact. But alas, I only have 2 and I need 1 for OBS and for Studio. Not today. Products got free, yeah, I know. I don't know how I missed them. It's like the biggest ones too. Not really sure how I managed to miss. I missed it on every single one of them. Oh, I just realized I don't have my tablet. There we go. There we go. That makes more sense. Yeah. Alright. It's time for the hair now. I think I usually do 1 for the hair. Yeah, 1 seems about right. For reminding me, no problem. OBS is not a problem child. OBS is amazing. Streamlabs, however, is the problem child. Which is why I no longer use it. Okay, the eyes are going away now. And so are the eye sparkles. And now we can keep the accessories. Okay, the people who say OBS is a problem child have shitty GP. It is not OBS's fault. Stop bullying poor old OBS, who gives us free software. I liked where I had the art initially. I know too much about software. But not enough apparently to get hired, haha. I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm gonna stop looking for game dev jobs. I've like literally, no one is even looking at my stuff, and I'm like, I have a published game. What do you want from me? I'm gonna look into management instead. Because I enjoy doing management stuff. And not just managing people, although I can do customer service. I hate it, but I've done it times. But like management and like inventory. Learning new things every day. What kind of game did you make? Multiplayer FPS. Yeah, so that involved grappling the UI program. Can lines behave? So close. You know what? That's close enough. I'm just gonna manually fix it. Haha, I totally drew that line in one swoop. They want you to have 15 plus years of experience by the time you're 16 years old. Yes! Yes! Yes, they do. They're like, well, the thing is, they're like, you need 3 years plus experience and a shipped game, and it's like, this is an entry-level position? What? And like, I happen to have those qualifications. And yet... And the thing is, like, I'm really good at interviewing. I just need to get to the interview, which I haven't yet. They just ignore me, and then a few months later, they're like, oh, sorry, we had too many applications, so we ignored yours. And it's like, wow, thank you. Makes me feel so great. Game industry's wonderful. Yeah, I was the worst member on my team, on my development team at the game. So literally, me being on a team was a handicap. Like the team I was on, which was always pink team. We had two types of teams, blue and pink. I was always on pink team, and we would always lose when we were testing stuff out. I also added Easter eggs to the game. Because I was in charge of UI and I could do whatever I wanted. Which is really funny. So like there are alleyways in the game. And in those alleyways I put Animal Crossing recipes. That they weren't like, I didn't actually copy. I made my own art for it, so I didn't like copyright anything. But when you got close to them, it said pot for it, like marijuana, and that was it. That's what I did. That was my contribution to the game. Because during development, we were all like really into Animal Crossing. Bit of it. Yeah, I honestly, I really loved working for my team. We had some problem people on the team, but every project does. Unless you're super lucky. It was good. I really liked it. Except my issue is that I wasn't actually programming. I was doing designer work because me and the lead artist were both doing UI design, different parts of it. Because a UI designer wouldn't do his job. And he got kicked off of that portion. No longer had that responsibility. So I did mostly design work, which is not great for my portfolio, but I did a good job. Feathered the model. Hey, how's it going? Alright, feather time. Props. Oh, wow. Did not expect it to go there. Okay, wait. You know what? I'm satisfied with that. Hey there! Yeah, it's all wiggly. I love it when it does that. the jiggle physics on my feather. Shoot, I missed some. Hold on. Is that covered by the face? Yeah, it is. Okay, I don't care. Touching. Down here. Alright, we have to do ears next, I think. That's hair. Let's do ears. No, we appreciate booba in this house. Boob physics great. I always find it funny. There are certain VTuber models that are like, or I guess model artists that are like, and riggers that they're like, we believe in gender equality. And then they give the models crotch jiggle physics. It's always so funny. It's like, why? Like, you can't even, usually you can't even see the crotch anyway. What is the point of... It's always so funny. Whee. Whee. I appreciate the booba. I just have some, and no, they don't move like that. You know what? No, that's fair. That's fair. Although honestly, I have pretty big booba. I will say, running upstairs, sometimes they do move like that. I don't know. I don't know. Depends on the kind of support you got. There's no support, they just fly everywhere. Conversations we have on my stream. I think this is 0.5. Yes. Yes. So let's try to do this. Is that do them? Around with like a little bit of curve like that. Lore. Lore. Yeah. Man, titty physics are so good too, right? I like man titty physics. Well, I love all titty. I don't care the gender. I love all titty. We love titty in this house. They exist. No, I've seen them. There are a lot of male VTubers with crotch jiggle physics. I don't know why. Yes, we stand titties in this house. We do. I love titties. I do. I really do. Like, I'm not against ass. I just, there's always that conversation about the ass versus titty. And it's like, don't get me wrong. I like a good ass, but titty's just better. God, I'm gonna have to mark another video 18 plus on YouTube, I swear to God. City stand for sure. Good. Same person. I don't think so. Cause you're a duck and I'm a dinosaur, but we're definitely related. We're somehow related. Did I miss? I did miss something. I was like, yeah, it's 0.2. Missing our little strawberry seeds, which I'm just not gonna look at my sketch work because I don't like it. movie stand is a bloodline thing. Yeah, it must be. Do I need to do it on the other side? I can do like one, I think. There we go. Okay. I think we finished everything. I think that's it. Line art wise, obviously. We have to color. I'm not a scientist at all. What do I know? Ah, you know what? That's fair. Wait, I thought you were a scientist. Colby, wait, are you a biologist? I sparkles. Are you fancy? Yeah. You are a scientist. What the hell you mean you're not a scientist? Fancy? Yeah, scientists are fancy. Alright, now we're gonna do the fun stuff. After I label his ears. Okay. Let's do the hair first. I could make folders, but I don't feel like it. I get the. We're gonna have fun. Whee! Oh. A few things I have to, but I can. Well, actually, you know what? I can do that and do that. These sparkles go all the way at the top, and I forgot to put one of them, so we need to do that. I like the way. Pressure is a bit off for now. Ah. Nah, hard grind isn't in chat, therefore no professor in chat. Okay, that was easy. Let's do, let's do these sparkles. Let's do these. I think I have a sparkle color open on these and stuff. Oh, it was the Lurk one. Well, biologists don't get fancy coats, or is that a doctor? I think if you're doing lab stuff, don't you just get a fancy coat? Isn't that just like a thing? Ha 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 ha. All of the spark. Okay, we did hair. Ears need one too. I'm just gonna. My coat would be in. If you think we're fancy, then thank you. I do. I think all scientists are fancy. Da, da, da. Clothing. Did the clothing get special outlines? No, they don't. Okay, clothing. Face does though. Micro, that's called exploiting the ethos. Ha! I ran a Pokemon at the bottom of the stream. Yeah, they are. They are viewers. If you check the panels below, God, my model's like freaking out a little. If you check the panels below, you can change the Pokemon. I forgot what gen it goes up to. I think it's 5 or 6. Remember. Also, I think the accessories should be over the hair, personally. Do this. Oh wait, those don't even need. Face. Oh. Do some ear. I sparkle stuff. It. Yeah. That we're gonna wait. Oh, and this all goes of the. I'm gonna speedrun becoming a doctor. Just gotta pepper. Does it have a coat though? You guys are funny. So messed up on this. You know, I thought it would be. I'm only going slightly slower than I feel like I normally would if I was just doing it in Discord. So I'm glad. These eyes need to go way up. Clip. Not what I want to do. Clip. You can see I really love clipping layers. Do this. Yeah, it's fine. Oh, and we're gonna do a little bit of a blue. I don't think I did this on any of the others, but cute. Okay. Now sparkle go away. Clip. I'm not. What are these layers? Hold on. This. It'll look scary for a bit, but I swear it gets cute. Spooky. I just joined Twitter. Ha, yeah. Twitter's not great. Like, I feel bad for you, because Twitter is, like, not really the place to, like, make friends. I'm just saying, it kind of sucks. It's a necessary evil for content creators. Oh, I think I made that too blue. That's a lot better. You can see I really like using the blur tool. And we add the sparkles. And it looks cute. Look at that. It looks so cute. I'm totally gonna pat myself on the back for that. It looks adorable. It's good for meeting people. But I don't think it's a good platform for making friends, just because the whole concept of being a mutual on Twitter does not equate to. And if people treat being mutuals differently. Some people treat it as friendship, other people don't. It's just, I like your content and you like mine. Twitter is a good gateway, I think, to meeting people, but it's not the place you make friends. It would be other places that are connected to your Twitter that you'd actually make the. VTuber drama is hilarious, but it also sucks when you're in it. Want to spook to cute? Yeah. You meet on Twitter and then move to Discord or something. Exactly. But I don't think, like, Twitter DMs are kind of sketch. But then you move to other platforms and then it becomes fine. God, oh, I outdid myself. Gonna again pat myself on the back. I think those eyes look really cute. And you can see them from a bit of a distance too, which is good. Good for emotes. Okay, but right now we're gonna go back to a little bit of creepy. I have to do some coloring now. I typically do all of the coloring on the same layer, just because at this point there's so many layers I get overwhelmed. Or sometimes I'll do like 2 or 3 layers at most, but yep. Yeah, Twitter is people I know. Yeah, it's wait a minute. Shit, I fucked up this emote. Hold on. I'm glad I look at my emotes before. Excuse me. Un momento. You're supposed to be white here. Oops a daisy. Just gonna fix that real quick. Milk. Okay. I'll add a feather. I see you've gotten some points back, Tolver. Now I'm somewhat symmetrical. There we go. That's not OBS. Okay. I'm getting jerks at an alarming rate. That's what happens when you sub. Trying to amass a ton of jorts this year. It's easier if you sub. Just saying. Me attempting to wink. Haha. You do actually get stuff at a faster rate when you nudge, nudge, wink. I can't wink. I'm so bad at it. I don't particularly know why. Oh wait, shoot. Those are supposed to be gloves. Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of you. That for a second. That's hatching. Okay. I'm gonna take the colors from this one. I don't have to do much work. You know, that's a great question. If you sub tier 3, I don't recommend anyone doing it because that's giving me too much power. If you sub tier 3, you do get the infamous anti-Garfield emote. I have been changing my emotes, but this one will not change. I will not get rid of it. That is your incentive. If you hate Garfield as much as I do. Yeah, I don't really know why anyone would... Like, if someone's partner and they have, like, really good tier 3 emotes, I get it. But, like... not now. No Garfield? No Garfield! We dislike Garfield in this house. No matter what Theo and Yuma try to do, we dislike Garfield. I'd rather gift 5 tier 1 and hope that one of those stays and hangs out. Yeah, I really appreciate it when people gift. I like it. Cause yeah, it's supposed to bring people in if they like using my emotes. Although I feel like my emotes aren't really too special. Have any like really good ones yet. I'll make them a... Why are you bonking me? Oh yeah, I like the BGM I picked. It's supposed to be DMCA free. Not according to YouTube, but it's supposed to be. You mean not special? No, like, I don't know. I feel like people have bonk emotes. People have questioning emotes that they're not particularly like wow. They're not wowzers. We got free pyro bonks. It's a win-win, I'd say. Okay, fair. Okay, that one's really good when you squish it. That would be the one, I think. Because that one squished is hilarious. Yeah, I have to figure out how to draw the Wiggly Boys so I can make myself a Wiggly Boy. Do you know where they come from? Like, who started the Wiggly ones? Because it kind of looks like a Poplio. You know, I'm really glad on her model. It's really hard to tell, but like some of the bangs are a deeper shade of blue. I'm really glad that I noticed it when I did, because it's hard to tell. Let's do the white now. Although, part of the hair has to go bye-bye. Hold on. Hair. Bye-bye hair. Bye-bye hair. White. So her skin is like real. Which is probably why on the lurky emote I didn't even notice it. Oh, I do want to do a bongo cat one for myself as well. I'd make it Pascal. Sure. Actually, I'm gonna change the bit emotes from Common Rider emotes to Pascal. When I get, you know, the time. God, this looks... Holy shit! I'm doing a good job. This lovely layer. I'm gonna keep complimenting myself until I think it looks cool. That's my game plan. But now you're just blessing us. I try. Pascal's a very good boy. He was a very good boy this holiday. He made a friend. Nice. Name. So I watched some Japanese VTubers. It is different in barrier. I'm learning Japanese now. Aha! Wait till you watch my Japanese language streams. uh, yeah, I don't speak that well yet. But no, it is. I don't like watching Japanese VTubers for that reason. They speak too fast. Most of them speak too fast. I prefer it when there are subtitles. Still on the right layer. And also, since you are new with interacting with, I will say, instead of DMing streamers, oh, that's not the right color. Okay. It's better to just look at their profile for a little. Like, the only reason I have my DMs open is commission. I don't... you're new, it's fine, but, just... Streamers. That's really bad Twitter etiquette. It's a fetish! Yeah, because like I said before, in most scenarios, Twitter isn't where you make friends. That's what Discord's for. Yeah, but typically VTubers will always have their links in their bio. And like well, my pinned tweet is it's my schedule with all of the links of where my events happen. So it has Discord, Twitch, and YouTube. That looks good, I think. Oh shit, I fucked up. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Where? Too many layers. Too many layers. That to be black. Ha ha ha. And then we go. That was good. Oh shit, I fucked up. Yep, that is the way of the artist. Yeah, yeah. There's a learning curve for everything. Yeah, that looks a lot. God, she looks so cute. I wonder who drew her. Oh my god, I'm gonna have fun doing the shading on all of these. Oh, why am I doing this when I can do it easily? Oh, that's supposed to be flesh color too. Sure. Good. And then we do add that layer. We need to go in. I have it at 50 right now, so I need to go to 100. And that back to 50. I don't want to run that emote. Okay. Trust me, there is a method to the madness. Perfect. How long have I been drawing? Consistently? I don't know, a month? Maybe. Yeah. Consistently about a month. Like, I drew before. I guess I would say August, because that's when I started being a VTuber and had to draw a lot. But I didn't really start drawing a lot till Organized Chaos. So say, haha, yes, yes, you are correct. Let's go to. This is also at 50. Okay, good to know. But we want 100. Ah. I got that one. Okay, and now we go back to 50. Here, and you know what? I'll use the same. There. Let's hold my pen not upside down. Oh. Yeah, you know, I do. No. There you go. But she has like see-through sleeves. Although I think. Wait. here. I've been doing it for a while. I'm like, damn, you're so much better. I grew up. I said consistently. I said that is how long I've been doing it consistently. I've been drawing technically since I was very little, but it wasn't consistent. It was very on and off. Pyro Dad is also an artist, so and as you see, I mean, I follow references not pretty well, but like decently. That is how I am getting better. It's like on my commissions for emotes, I say I won't change from my style because I've been copying a certain emotes artist style. I've been not copying, emulating it, I'd say. Not exact. So I can actually learn to get my own style, if that makes sense. Okay, I think that's it for the flat colors. Wait, is there a blush on this one? Okay. The blush is technically not flat, but I'm just counting. 'Cause I can. Oh, that's... Buzzers. It runs in the blood. Yeah, it does. It do. There are many artists in the dinosaur family. Oh, hello. Okay, maybe not that big. Alright, I'd say the flats are done. I guess I just have to do... hold on a second. I'm gonna update my Trello board. Oh, not that board. The other board. Actually, list flat colors complete. To OBS. Yeah, we have a lot of artists and musicians in our family. And nerds. This is a family of nerds. A model, I don't know, maybe the connection from my phone to the computer hasn't been great, but like the model is not as smooth as it once was. Tracking one. Nerds are great. Yes, they are. Okay, alright, it's time for shading and stuff. Oh my god, what just happened? Okay. Open. I did... Clown. So these are the 4 that I'm doing. We're gonna ignore the watermark on this one. So I kind of want to do similar shading on all of them, which is why I have them all up. I guess... I don't even know where... I think I can delete this one. So let's do lighting first. it'd be great if I used a nice deck. I know. I don't really know what happened. I don't want this layer. How do I need to figure out how we're doing. Yeah, let's do blobs. Actually, no. Open out of the way. Exit. Stream document. Emotes. I like this shading. What kind of music are you into? Oh, is my model frozen again? Oh my god. I don't know, this happens here, but it doesn't happen at the other. Really sure why. I guess too many people using the internet or something? Just wait for it to get back. VC phase. Don't fail me now. There we go. I don't know why it does that. It's so strange. Music? I'm into a lot of music. I like pop mostly though. I like show tunes. I like country music. I like classic rock. Did I say classical already? I like classical and Baroque music. J-pop, I guess. I like Spanish pop music. Some alternative. I mean, I'm not really too picky. I know. Movement. Crazy, right? Let's do a swoof. No, come on. I don't like how it does that thing at the end. All the line art. Although, actually, you know what? I don't want white. I don't want white. I want like almost all music too. I go through phases. Nope, not. Yeah. Out. Let's see. Da, da. I hope that was satisfactory. Sorry if I sound disinterested, my throat just hurt. Although the sigh was real. That was more of a getting ready kind of sigh. Thank you, I appreciate it. Be like doing more. Oh, I like coloring. Coloring is my favorite part of drawing. It's the most relaxing. I kind of hate doing line art, but you have to, you know. It's kind of required. Okay, I wanna check this. Let's see. 20%. What about 50? It doesn't seem bad. Fine. Okay. 50%. Lance, thank you for the resub. Hi, happy 5. I can't believe you've been around for 5 months. Damn. How are you doing? Oh, I was wondering, I'm like, how do you like your new sub badge? But you're one of my first, so you don't have the new sub badges. You have the first stuff. Yeah, I don't like the swoosh. I'm not a big fan of the swoosh. There you go. I think that. There we go. Good, that's a better swoosh. Doing well, just watching the good dino. Thank you, thank you. Hi, Quern. Quern, by the way, you can turn your founder badge on again. I forgot what brush I did for this. That's the eraser. We're essentially gonna do the same thing on this one. Hi. I think I've said this before, but I just absolutely love it when my chat talks to each other and has their own conversation. I don't know. It's just as a streamer, it's like, holy shit, I'm making it. It was really nice. This God damn it, Corn. Yeah, there we go. Today in particular, my model's been really buggy. Wowzers, another one. Yeah, good stuff. What do you mean, good stuff? Good stuff. I hate you all. I just want to draw. Leave me alone. Stop making me stick feathers in my head. Leave me alone. It's funny, y'all snagging on me. Well, you guys spent it all on the Spanish music stream. That's why you don't have any points. You made your bed, now lie in it. Oh, too far. Micro ice. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for you to be done. Okay, 1. 2. 3. 4. Please tell me you didn't add more. Okay, it was just 4. That's enough for now? Okay. I have to make sure. Around maybe like 4 o'clock. I'm gonna try to draw. How have you got them stick to your hair like that? And not just on top? Magic. It's just how VC face works. Yeah, so around 4, I wanna check and start working on the super secret break. It's not super secret because I'm drawing it on stream, but you know what I mean. I do want to finish emotes too. White's bad. All feathery and beautiful. Thank you. Need what? We're gonna make it 50%. Yeah. We'll add what's the word? Shading next, I think. I don't really know how to shade too well, admittedly. Highlights there on gloves. Now vibe hour. You know what? Also, I need a lozenge. Let's see. Honestly, the main thing is like don't DM people, which is I would say probably an extreme stance according to some of my friends, Jet. But I take that stance as a woman on the internet and also a content creator, because while I do enjoy interacting with my viewers, and I am friends with a lot of them because I'm a small streamer, there is a power dynamic between content creators and their viewers, which can lead to parasocial relationships. So the viewers give a lot of money because they know the streamer and they like the streamer and they know a lot about them, so they feel a connection, while the streamer has no connection because, you know, streaming's only a part of lives, I guess. So just don't. As a woman, it's hard because I get a lot of creepy messages, so weeding them out, as much as I want to make friends, it's hard. It's really hard to weed out the good from the bad. I'm trying to think other internet etiquette. Yeah, parasocial bad. Make sure you read rules in people's Twitch chats. I mean, you haven't violated any, of course. But like people will like come into my chat and like try to head pat me or make comments about touching my tail, even though I specifically have a rule to not do that. Just because every streamer has different rules and they have different comfort levels, which can be annoying. I will admit, very much. I understand it can be a lot to keep track of. But they have their rules for a reason. Yeah. Yeah, it is a constant battle. um, I think this one's my favorite. You just look so cute. So cute. Okay. Did I miss any spots? I don't. Right. Time for this one. Yep. And even then, most streamers have a different rules down in their panels, because I think the ones I have in my chat I need to update. I need to change this to 50%. There we go. This one. Cool. Oh, and then I guess don't send naked pics, but I feel like that one should be common sense. You'd think. Yeah. Yeah, it's good that you're willing to learn, because a lot of people aren't. As for VTubers, just keep consent in, I think. Like, because there are a lot of lewd VTubers that get a lot of sexual harassment because they're lewd, and they get a lot of, like, dick pics and stuff, because it's like, well, you're horny on main, so why aren't you horny for me? And it's like, consent, my dude. So just always remember consent. I hate that I have to say that, but ew. Yeah, and I'm okay with the highlights being on the clips. I think it makes it look cool. No, I have a lozenge. I still have my stacks of Pocky, though. Not being a sex pest online should not be as hard as people make it seem. Yes. Just in general. Also true. Yes, I have been catcalled many a time in public, and it's like, my dude, I'm going to the grocery store. Like, I was gonna say I'm in sweats, but I actually... Fun fact about me, I do not own a pair of sweats. Not like I'm against them. I'm not like, oh, I only dress up. But like, for me, comfy clothes are jeans. So... or like a dress with like cute leggings. So... I don't actually wear sweatpants, but like, yeah, like I've gotten catcalled, like doing like basic things, or like going to the pharmacy to like pick up my medications. It's like, I'm going to get birth control, like what, or like tampons, right, from the the supermarket or the pharmacy, and it's just like, this is not where you shouldn't catcall, but this is like not the time and place. I have in fact gotten dick pics, not because of VTubing, but I have. They're not fun. I think that's good on this one. Okay, now we have to figure out how to do shading, because that's gonna be hard, I think. So people say to use like a dark purple color. I kind of want to experiment with like an indigo. Catcalling is fucking weird. It really is. It is. We're gonna test this out on the eyes. I never know. I think people say like what they use. Multiply? I guess. What is multiply? Not really much, apparently. I don't know how to do shading. This is the time that I would appreciate backseating. Well, let's do what, 10? Oh, you know what? 10 looks fine. That looks great, and okay with it. Except I need to get my actual line, my brushing, smoothing. I'm sorry if you hear sucking noises. It's cough drop. Making me drool. I was gonna say salivate, but drool. I'm a drooler. I know it's a little gross. You know, I don't like this color. I want to make it more pink. I think that would be fun. Go away. We don't want you there. I want to make this more pink. People just keep their own business more. Yeah, where I live right now, there aren't people, which is great. But when I was at university in a city, and creepy old dudes would catcall me outside of a soup kitchen. Which it's like, I don't... And the funny thing is, I don't think they were patrons at the soup kitchen, you know? They weren't... They just hung out there because it was like a public place. It's like, I knew, like, when I would see people come out of the soup kitchen, they were all, like, nice. But those people... We like, nope. I am using Ricola Berry Medley. I prefer lemon flavored, but I really just like Ricola better than like Halls, so I sacrifice. Ricola. Yeah, I always prefer the lemon ones. And I can't find Ricola everywhere anyway, either. I'll take it. But Halls isn't bad. Are they fancy? I always consider them old lady cough drops. Because they're what my grandmother likes using. Oh yeah, those are good colors. Good. It's a good color. Happy. But that's, yeah. I'm almost done with these, so I'm just gonna just finish them, I think. Hear a man coughing in the background. It's Pyro Dad, and no, he's not dying. Because my mic's really sensitive sometimes. It's weird. It's not consistent how sensitive it is, but sometimes it is. Colby! Colby! It's fine. Well, honey lemon, it is a fire combo, you're right. Would you look at that? I have jorts. We haven't done, I don't think we did an eyeball feather last time. Let's do that. I want to do shading underneath the hair. That's a mistake on our part. No, I mean, you guys have to save up if you want the Spanish. Oh, shoot. Pick some lines on this one. There you go. Ah! Probably do a little shading. I think that's okay. I would have played Baka Mitai, but I'm out of biddies. Being out of biddies is a real Baka Mitai moment. Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate. Yeah, so the clown one's done. I think it looks pretty good. Well, actually, you know, we can... Ah! Oh! Why is that so loud? I thought you said you were out of bits. Oh my god! It's way too loud! You scared the shit out of me! Oh my god. Okay, I think I'm gonna do this one. We want this at 10%. God, I hope no one left because that was so loud. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so the whole curse on the, like, sound alerts not working the first time, it only seems to be the honk one, and I can't really figure out why. I don't really know why the honk one doesn't like being played first. If anything, they should have read. Okay. Okay. Honk! Yeah. Oh, that worked. Also, thank you for the bits. It's a shame that through the sound alerts, you don't get to be on the leaderboard. I hope they fix that, because so many streamers use the sound alerts. You think? Yeah. They're never gonna do it, but they should. No, I mean, it works, no? Wait. Like the one above. Stream chat. Yeah, I mean, like, when people donate bits through sound alerts, it does not show up. Oh, it does! Wait, what? Wait. Is that new? I don't remember that being a thing. Oh, well, then never mind. Cool. Oh, wow. I'm just not paying attention. It's fine. It's yeah, I have a lot to learn. Emote make. Yeah. We're getting there. Let's make this one. 10%. Thank you. I appreciate the bless yous. Ha! That makes it look evil. That's funny. Thank you. Thank you for the contribution to the Spanish music stream. I appreciate it. It's gonna feature Despacito, which I tried practicing in a voice chat with Hood the other day, and oh my god, I literally could not practice it. I was just laughing my ass off. I could not practice it. The lyrics are so stupid. But so when I do music streams, I haven't done one in a long time. I don't do like a typical karaoke stream. What I do is I learn the songs on stream, and a lot of them I practice off stream as well. But it's more of a music learning stream instead of a like I'm performing for you. That's too much pressure. Holy biscuit, that sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but it would be hilarious if I did it. And I am a appreciator of comedy. And there are a lot of Spanish songs that... And then I'd probably do, I would probably still do English songs in that stream, but they would be from, like, essentially Coco and Encanto. Especially with Encanto, I don't know the Spanish songs. For Coco, I know a few of the songs in Spanish. Like, recuérdame, remember. Singing streams are fun. Ah, awesome. Kind of sad I missed that. Ah, okay. It's been a few months. Okay, I think that one's good. time for the last one, and then these emotes will be not completed, but Encanto is good. I have Disney Plus. Yes, we have been watching it in my server. We have watched it like, I don't know, 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Because I love it. How goes? Yep. Hi, Rain. Hi, Rain. We're doing pretty good. We're done. Basically, I'm gonna give this to the Raffle winner, and then she'll tell me if she wants any. Ignore the weird purple, it'll make sense. Actually doing this. Like a pirate. It's okay. Something new. Being a pirate, even. No one can blame you for that. Wanting a change of pace. Emotes are adorable. Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying my best to make them cute. Okay. I don't know, I think they're done. So I'm gonna export all of them. And then I'm gonna send them to YouTuber. Me if she wants any. Port PNG. Thank you, I appreciate trying my best. Oh, good person. Okay. Oh. 100. Cool. We're gonna switch scenes for a bit because I'd rather not pull up my, I don't know. I've done it before, but that don't mean nothing. I work today like a real pro. Thank you. Twitter. Oh, so many Twitter notifications. I must be distracted. Alright. Time to Can I add more? No. Twitter, why are you stupid? Okay. Let me know if you want any changes. I'll start the animated one later this week. Okay, cool. They have been sent. Okay, now we are going to do the word. More, alright. But for Max. Has he sent me a DM yet? No, he hasn't. Fucking rude, man. Okay. Clip Studio. Okay. Over. I clicked the wrong one! I clicked the wrong scene. Oopsie. Hi, yo, yo, yo! How's everyone doing today? God, I'm too tired, clearly. It's all these feathers in my head. They're poking at my brain. Micro ice, don't give me that. No. I'm gonna call this Mr. Pebbles. Pebbles. There we go. I want this. 1,000. By 1,000. Thank you. I got scared of your ending and yeah, no, I just messed up. It happens a lot more than I would like. It does. Okay, let's see. I need to see. I know Max isn't streaming, but I need to go to his channel because he never sent me, even though I threatened him, he never sent me a picture of Mr. Pebbles. Maximilian Archibald, where are you? Where are you? Yeah. Oh shit! All of the clips. You have home recent broadcast videos. Let's see if there are any old clips. Yeah, there are. Okay, cool. Oh, thank you. Bless yous. I need to take a screenshot though. Snip. Okay. I'll See all the weird stuff I have. It's a terrible caption. Okay, alright, time to draft this bed. I'm gonna do like an owl plushie, so it's not gonna be exactly like Mr. Is a little hoot? Yeah, it's a little hoot hoot. I'm gonna draw this like a... Oh, am I using a pen? I don't want to use a pen. I like using the pencil for my... Like cats of the sky. Yes, they are. First I draw like an egg though. Little round. Cute little boat. I like making bow ties. And his head does stick out like a little bit. I'll draw as the... it looks like boobs. Don't mind me. Animal. Or actually, what if I gave it button eyes? Like, if I knew where Max lived, I would send him a real Pebbles plushie. But I can't really do that. But like more, I don't know, like wait. Maybe this is like a beanbag kind of plushie. Like a... What are those TY toys? The Beanie Babies? There you go. There's a little plushie. And if we finish this quickly, I don't know if we will. I mean, this doesn't seem like too complicated. If we finish this quickly, I might just work on more commissions. I love owls. I like how floofy they are. How small their actual bodies is. Yeah, wet owls are hilarious. So I'm gonna take some creative freedom here and make this also a button to really push the plushy angle. The rounder the ribbon are, the cuter it is. Oh, add a feather. We finish this soon. We watch Encanto again. No. Creative freedom is the best freedom. Oh, that's Discord. That's the wrong thing. Oh. I don't even know where to add a feather. I'm lazy. There we go. You really should be saving up your points. Hi, Fedez. Posture check. Thank you. Finally, someone's taking care of me. Hydrate. Okay. There we go. To fam. I appreciate it. I do eat. Oh, you know, it would be. Oh. We do. Not that. Taking care of you? What do you mean? Have you seen all the feathers? I'm not featherless. I have feathers on my arms. Usually. I can make these like well, actually, what would actually happen is, so we have this piece. I imagine this would be made out of felt or something. We have this piece. Oh, we want that round, and we do not want an angry looking Mr. Pebbles. Okay, and then we would do stitches like that. Yeah. I wonder if I should just keep this sketchy or make it into like a stream asset. Not really sure. I have no idea, because someone, aka Max, didn't take my threat seriously and did not send me a reference. I have absolutely. Looks pretty good. If someone's in trouble, yeah, I know. I threatened him with a gun too. I don't know what he's doing. No, I might just keep this like kind of sketchy. I think it looks cute. Not that sketchy though. Yes. Maybe I need a little bit of stabilization. Yeah, I think I might keep it like that. Wait a minute. What's up? Have hands. Excuse. Have hands. Press X to doubt. What do you mean? I just realized I was doing this on the wrong layer. Oopsie daisy. I don't think I'd ever. Yeah, no. But I like the line art, but I don't think. Yeah. I like the line art sketchy, but I want the color. Although, it might be easier if I use the filter. I don't know how it'll react. That's good, I'll just fix it up. Do that? Okay. Fill tool is a good friend, yeah. Yes, yes it is. Makes my life a hell of a lot easier. Doesn't have to be perfect with the rough lines. I feel like it makes it more endearing if it's not like perfectly. It's not just too low. Doesn't look that great. I hope he likes it. I really do. I love it. It's adorable. I thank you. I'm not too like I would have drawn him, but I'm not very confident in my drawing ability, let alone my ability to draw men. It's unfortunate because my next emote commission, after I finish the animated emote, is a dude. But there's plenty of reference out there that I can just... I think we're gonna go a slightly darker. We want to save this. Actually, I don't know if I have a folder for stuff like documents. Do I just have art? I do. Okay. I'm not good at drawing male characters either. I love drawing girls, but horrible at trying. Oh. I feel that. That pain. It's dark. He has black eyes, like closed eyes, but I'm just gonna do dark gray. Especially for like a... Oh! Yeah, that's why you've been drawing a lot of Digimon. Awesome. I don't mind if there are a few white. With this style, I feel like the imperfections or certain imperfections. Yeah, you know, he does look kind of cute. Digimon was a fortunate happenstance, the result of brainworm. Child demands tribute. Is he an artist? Is he an artist? He designed me. He didn't make this VTuber model, but he designed me. Yeah, he's my design. Okay, really need that reference. This is definitely yellow. But because the image I'm using is so pixelated, it just doesn't show up. Yeah, that's good. Okay, shading time. It's shading time. I think for this one, it would be cool to experiment with like a green shadow. I want to flip it to the layer below though. Do a darker green. Brush bigger. I think that's too dark. But the fish? Holy Viscous, he is model Papa. He is design Papa. He's not necessarily. I don't know if I said model Papa, but he designed me, so. Oh. We designed me together. Let's take that to 10. I think that looks kind of neat. Yeah. Okie dokie. I think he's done. Now we have to keep this. No one tell Max, okay? No one tell Max. Give it to him on his birthday. Secret. Is a plushie. Yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure Mr. Pebbles is actually another content creator, but good that you said I was about to add him on Twitter. Micro, come on. So like, what are we gonna do now? Shit, huh? Now, I guess we can start drafting. Oh, hello. There's the man himself. Maximilian. There he is. But for real, more art? Yeah, probably. What time is it? I'm a little tired. But we can keep going. New. Hold on un momento. Totally did not forget how to spell my client. That would be ridiculous, in fact. Totally did not forget how to spell it. Not at all. Empty brain. Okay. No, it's just an artistic pause. Yes, exactly. You get me. You get me. Let's see. Actually, I need to go back on Twitter because I need to see what the expression she wanted was. Okay, that should be easy to do. I need to find my reference picture though. Give me a while. I need to find a reference picture. Peter. Shoot. Hold on, my phone's in my way. Alright, I found my here. There. Wait. No. They were named the same thing, but there we go. Bye, Twitter. If the phone is in the way, are you... Wait, I am not the phone. I am using the phone as a camera. What did I ever say was the phone? Just on the phone. Okay, it is sketchy time. Sketchy time. This is gonna be the animated emote. I'm gonna do more of an O expression than a smile. Actually, I typically do that in red. That later. Open sesame. I know this is a screenshot I took. Much as just the urge. Yeah, save up your jorts. Probably make these bigger. For emotes, we need the eyes to be like massive. I've drawn her so many times. I know how her shirt works. I just realized on the screen chat, you guys can see this. I didn't color all of it in. I did fix it on the final one. Oh, no. Have a... I want this. That. Okay. Time for the second sketch layer. We're gonna be a little more particular with this one. This is the one I'm gonna send to her. Oh, wow. No, I didn't forget any clips. Okay. Well, first I'm gonna do big. I want to do... I think that looks good. What to do is turn that down. Up to stabilization. And make sure I'm on the actual right layer. Sometimes I forget that that song has like actual talking in the background of it, and I'm like, am I hearing voices? I think I've said this before, it is now that time in the stream where we just vibe out. Happens every time. Really between 4:30 and 5. Get tired. We vibing. Yeah, this is we're cozy hours. Want the pencil? Why are you angry blepping at me? You know, we might actually end this stream after I finish the draft. Cause like, I'm getting tired. I mean, doing art, when I do art, I typically will take breaks. I didn't today. Honk. I assume that was Tolvi. Yep. Yes. You're predictable. Ah. Oh, that scared me. It's too calm, needs to riot. Wow, okay. I guess we're just having a revolution. No, that doesn't look right. Hold on. I didn't slurp. Thank you. You guys are really funny. Just want to do a better slurp. A lot of 2-for-1 special. Yep. I like spoiling my chat. What can I say except you're welcome? Okay. There. Can do this in red. I just realized I made this an illustration, not an animation. Ah, fuck. Although I know how to make still PNGs into animations, so actually do this because I'm gonna make the eyes blink. I can't do a lot like animation wise because I don't know how to rig, but I can do frame by frame animation, and blinking would be very. There we go. Now she looks a little demonic. I'll just erase. Yeah, what if we did watching? You know, I kind of want to finish Arcane. As you should. There we go. I'm just gonna tell her that like it looks weird because it's what I'm gonna animate. Let's go to the just chatting room. Hello. Ah, my model's slow. Gotta message her, and then we should be all set. So tomorrow's stream is Pokemon. And we'll be doing more art on Wednesday. Also, let me send her a message. Here is the line draft or almost mentioned. For the animated one. I put the stuff that will move in red. I had some a little more free time today than I thought. LOL. Let me know if you want changes. It does look creepy with the red eyes, but it's fine. Devoured. Yes, is devoured. Oh, and I can also update my Trello board now. Cool. Okay, I'm actually really proud. We got quite a bit done today. Next art stream will probably be working on the animated thing. Animation. And then maybe starting other line drafts. I put on my Trello board actually my own emotes because I want to do 5 more emotes. God, why is it so slow? Why is it so slow? Oh my god, that's so delayed. Thank you for the honk. Since this is being so slow, we're gonna go read someone. Good. I don't know what to do. I don't know. Okay, I think it... No, it's not fixed. Oh, side streaming. Alright, I'm ending the stream early. Just I ran out of things to do. Yeah, I had fun. Ignoring my model freaking out. Raid. Oh, it's /raid here, isn't it? Yeah. We're gonna raid Sai. We're gonna use the lurk emotes for the raid. Okay. Bye bye.